You are listening to the Booktrospective Podcast, a podcast for all types of books. And even though we read all types of books across all different types of genres, we want to give a disclaimer. Many of our books and a lot of our content sometimes is intended for mature audiences. And we don't believe in censorship, but we do want our listeners to have the opportunity to decide if our episode or podcast is good for them. So with that, let's get into the episode. Hey, it's Dominique.
And Keely.
And you are listening to Booktrospective. And I wanted to say, hello, Clarice. That's funny because actually every time I call my mom, I say hello, Clarice. We're already laughing. We haven't even started yet. This week we are doing There's No Way I'd Die First by Lisa Springer. Yes, that is her name. And I had a good time reading this. I was in competition because I was also trying to read House of Flame and Shadow. So, but I got it done and I enjoyed it. But, you know, priorities. But this book was great too. So, before we get into the book, Keely, how was your week?
My week was a week. Sick kid at home. Been tired. Been just
felt.
It's a week. Almost made a not so good decision this week. Just because my family and I are busy people. We always have something on our plate. And my mom saw a puppy on Facebook that she really wanted. Okay. And let me preface this by all the dogs we've ever had are female dogs. My mom doesn't do like male dogs because she says they should wear pants. So
they could.
So she found blue healers. And so do you know the show Bluey?
Yes.
They're blue healers. Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom wants a blue healer so bad, and it was a boy, and she was like, I'm gonna get it. We decided not to. But as we were going through names for the dog, because we were about to get it. I was about to close up early Friday to go with her to get the puppy. But as we were going through names, the top of the list was Post. And for you guys who don't know, my last name is Malone.
That is
so the dog's name would be Post Malone.
That is awesome. Please get a dog in the name.
My mom said the vet would hate us.
I mean, so what? You're only there a couple times a year.
But yeah, there's my tea for the week.
Aww, please get a postie. That would be so good. Aw, I have to get like a dog and name him Jim, like Jim Carrey. Or Mariah. I could get a dog and name her Mariah. On my list. I'm so uncreative when it comes to animal names. Like all my animal names are so basic that I've ever had. So I'm basic. What did I do this week? Let's see. Cameron's still playing basketball, surprising us all. She has been making baskets left and right. Don't know where this came from, but hey, shout out Cam. We're selling Girl Scout cookies, slanging Girl Scout cookies. House of Flame and Shadow. I'm audiobooking it, so okay. So like a month ago, I was like, oh wait, I never pre-ordered it. So I pre-ordered on Audible, but then I guess like at midnight when it dropped, I forgot I had ordered the ebook on Apple, so I put that on my Kindle, and then of course I had to come to Keely and get the physical copy that I never planned to read just to sit on my bookshelf. So I have 3 versions of House of Flame and Shadow. I have like an hour and a half or so left in the audiobook, and I'm like, my stomach hurts because I know how Sarah is, and she likes to traumatize us at the end. So, I don't know. I'm very excited and scared at the same time. What else did I do this week? We are putting in catheters at school. I was telling Keely and her mom about the mannequins because I teach in a nursing school and they're very lifelike and scary. So, there's that.
Yeah, that's gonna haunt my dreams now.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's, you know, I'm very used to it, but I guess I always forget that there's normal people in the world who don't experience the things that I experience on a regular basis.
I say that, but I just got finished reading Playground by
yeah,
Erin
Keely
Beauregard.
She read Playground, and she said it's not as terrible as TikTok makes it out to be.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a surprise. It was a shock that page 40, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. I ended up giving it a 4 stars. So
yeah, I mean, I told Keely, I said, we're desensitized. Honestly, when anybody's like, this is terrible, I'm like, I literally go to sleep listening to true crime podcasts. So like nothing really like gives me that shock factor. Not like other people.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, this is
the worst.
This is so bad. Like, blah, blah. And I'm like, bet.
Yeah, like now I'm interested. I'm intrigued. So that's fitting because we're doing a horror book this week, which I had some. I did have some shocking moments. Not like they horrified me, but like I was not expecting them to be in this book, and I was like, yeah, I wasn't prepared for that scene. But anyways, okay, so let's go ahead and get the blurb from Keely.
So I'm gonna switch it up this time.
Uh-oh.
And I am going to read my review on the book as a blurb. Doesn't give away any spoilers, but I've been trying to do really good
book
reviews. So,
okay.
Let me prepare. Okay. Sydney Prescott, but make her a black female horror buff. The cover is beautiful and the story is fun and eerie. Your Next meets Scream and Saw in this twisted slasher where the main character has a talent for coming out on top. With the slashing stacked against her, Noelle is the final girl you die to be, with a passion and incredible knowledge of all things horror. She is a girl that'll make it to the end credits. Jump Scares is the name of Noelle's horror film club, and she's decided to throw a killer party for the wealthiest and most popular members of the club, complete with a horror-themed food and drinks, music, films, trivia, and games. She's most excited about the hide-and-seek tag with the knockoff It clown she hired, but things take a turn when it seems the clown reveals he's out for the blood of everyone in attendance. This is the moment Noelle has been waiting for, to prove that she is final girl material.
Oh, she's poetic, you guys.
I try.
That was a really good. That was good. That was good. She did my general summary, ripped it to shreds. Okay, well, I like that. That was good. So general summary. This book is the main character is Noelle Lane, and she is these are all high school like seniors, and she's black. They're all the children of wealthy parents. And she has a club called Jump Scares, and she wants to launch into like podcast world. She wants to go to like NYU to be in film, and she loves horror movies. So she is bringing like all of these friends / influencers together for a Halloween horror night. And so she has like the coolest stuff prepared. Her parents are out of town. She has like a mansion, a castle. They call it castle something. It's in my notes. They call it a castle, and she lives like a little bit outside of New York City. And so she brings all these people together, and she hired a It clown to like do like a hide and seek kind of thing. And obviously no one's supposed to die, but the clown has other plans and begins to turn their real life into a horror movie. So Noelle is determined to be a final girl, and she is all prepared. She has a go bag just in case things go wrong. So she basically has built up to this moment her entire life without ever wanting to actually have to be in this circumstance. And so now she's trying to see if she can put all of her skills to the test, and keep all of her friends and party goers alive, and also figure out who is this clown and why do they want to kill me. So that is There's No Way I Die First. So if you have not read... Oh, no. Wait, I forgot. I remembered. A word for the book.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget. Okay, Keely, do you have a word?
I would say... I feel like this is simple, but gory.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this book was just like a simple, good read. I would say...
I changed mine. I'm sorry. I am going to say games.
Ooh, that's a good one too. I would say I know what word I want, and I don't know what that word is. But like, I'm like, what is that word? I'm going to say Trapped.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Trapped. Okay, so now, if you have not read this book and you do not want to be spoiled, this is your warning to pause the podcast episode, come back later after you have read it, and if not, let's go ahead and get into the book. So, we start out this book with a guest list. So, at the top, obviously, is our host, Noelle Lane. She's the host of a horror movie club called Jump Scares, and she's an aspiring film critic. We have Archer Mitchell. He is a singer-songwriter. Again, these are all high schooler singers, by the way. We have Demario Rollins. He's a swimmer, and he's really just like Noelle's best friend. We have Elise Thomas. She's a makeup guru, a designer darling, also a really good friend of Noelle's. We have Kelsey Crankenshaw. She's a model and basically like just an heiress, rich girl. Influencer. We have Dylan Hansen, lacrosse captain. He also is the boyfriend of Kelsey, and he has like some big endorsements for his lacrosse. I think lacrosse is it's such a rich sport. Like I want a boyfriend that plays lacrosse. We have Josh Sullivan. He's the host of a podcast show, and all of these people have been on his show at some point. Taylor Kissick is world traveler, animal lover, also identifies as they, them. Mariana Martinez is a Broadway fanatic. She was like in some big play at their school and busts out in random Hamilton songs. I can relate. I love Hamilton. Haley Daniel is a social activist. Vivek Bhatia is an internet entrepreneur. Maddie Shu is a fashion influencer, and Charlie Wong is a finance bro, basically crypto expert. So that is our guest list when we get to that part of this story. We actually open with a prologue after this, which is 2 weeks before Fright Night. So 2 weeks before Halloween. Josh Sullivan is hosting his podcast. It's called A Lot to Unpack. And Noelle is on for this episode talking about jump scares. So basically, she features a lot of Black horror, which is different. So like movies like Blackula, and they talk about Get Out, because Get Out really I don't want to say it revitalized Black horror, but it really put Black horror on the map in a way that it hadn't been respected in that way. So shout out to Jordan Peele. And Noelle wants Black horror that's not Black trauma. Also, because the thing about Get Out is they put Get Out in a comedy category all the time, which is wild because I feel like Get Out is a Black trauma. It's terrifying, not necessarily because of the stuff that the actual jump scares. It's the concept of the movie is terrifying to me as a Black person, and so that would be Black trauma. But she also talks about how Black movies don't get recognition. She's planning a special movie for a private Fright Night party for the anniversary of Jump Scares. So she's had this club going for a year now. And there are 12 top influencers that she'll be inviting for fun and games. And she says that it'll be diabolical. That was a good word, actually. So this book's a little different. Normally, I don't pay attention to chapter numbers. And sometimes other books have had like Fourth Wing, for example, it had quotes and stuff at the beginning of the chapters, and I wasn't really good about it, but I like the quotes in this one, and I kind of I feel like I have dialogue and other things I want to talk about with this episode. So I did write those down for each chapter. So chapter 1, our quote is, "It's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare." And I want you guys to guess what it is when I say them, so you could pause and do that. But if not, it is from Halloween 1978. So, chapter 1. So, it's the anniversary of Jump Scares, so it's Halloween. And basically, a year ago, Noelle went viral, ranting on why Black people don't make it in the movies and why she loves Get Out. She talks about her invitations for Fright Night. So, she sent out a silver Tiffany spoon, which is a nod to Get Out. Basically, the part when the mom puts our main character, which I can't remember what his name was, but it's Daniel Kaluuya. When the mom puts him in the sunken place, and she was stirring the tea with her silver spoon. That is so freaking cool. I want to go to this party. Well, I don't want to go to this party, but I want to be invited.
Love the concept.
Love the concept. Don't actually want to participate. So these are all high schoolers, and they are a little bit out of New York City. Noelle is a senior, and so are all of her friends and the influencers she's inviting. She's going to a tarot card reading to kind of just garner buzz. So she's trying to hit so many followers. I don't know if it's like 50,000 or something. I might have wrote it down. Not that important, but she's trying to get more followers, and she has her friends Demario and Elise with her, and she wants to really launch jump scares from a club into a podcast. So I don't know if it's like kind of like a blog. It never really kind of says like what platform they use it on, but I don't know if it's like a blog because there's chats. I don't know if they're using Discord. This is when did this book come out? Last year? Yeah, 2023. So it's very like up to date as far as platforms and stuff. So I'm assuming it's something like that. Elise is going to do her makeup for tonight, and she's planning on having like a dark prom look, and her costume is a secret though, so no one really knows, so she doesn't really tell Elise like, okay, these colors or anything, because she wants it to be a secret. Elise tells her that Archer liked her post, and he likes all of Noelle's posts, so we basically already get the hint that like there's something brewing between Noelle and Archer. And Noelle says she's liked Archer since middle school, even though he's a major artist now. So Demario is the camera person for Noelle, and she's talking to them about how she's having this party at her house, which they refer to her house as Castle Hill, and it's very infamous because her mom throws really big parties there, but her parents are going to be out of town for the weekend. I think they went away for their like anniversary or something like that, and so she is having the party there, and they don't know that she's having the party there. At her tarot reading, she asked the reader, I guess, if starting a podcast is going to be a good move for her. And so with the tarot reading, the lady pulls 3 cards, and there is one card is like something of pentacles. I don't know anything about tarot cards. I stay away from that kind of stuff. I don't play around. I don't mess around. So I never would have done this. But she gets like, the first card is something of pentacles, which basically represents growth or prosperity and new opportunities. She gets a 9 of swords, which represents pain, worry, and guilt, and then a 10 of swords, I believe. I think those are the cards she got. And she thinks that the guilt is for sneaking to have this party. So her mom doesn't get on her socials because she posted some kind of horror or something one time, and her mom was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And then her dad pays his assistant to pay the credit card bills, so like no one's really she's a rich kid. Like, yeah, we know how that works. We get the idea. The 10 of swords is like swords. The 10 of swords. Swords. Why would I say that? The 10 of swords is basically like the card. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Like, it's a guy, I think, laying face down, and he's got like all these swords sticking out of his back. And so the reader, her name is Adelina, she basically kind of tries to play it off, and she's like, oh, don't take it literally. But Noelle can tell that her body language is saying otherwise. Like, obviously, like, oh, that's not a good card, honey. Like, oh, I don't know. So Adelina's like, this is basically just telling you that you're going to move towards change or have some kind of betrayal in your life. After the reading, Kelsey tells Noelle, which Kelsey is going to be attending the party, that some guy named Wolfie is also having a party, and apparently he grows really great parties. And so she's mad that this party's private because Kelsey's like, basically like, I don't want to miss out on a good party going to your little stupid Fright Night thing or whatever. And so Noelle knows like she has to make it like, she knows that you have to make rich people feel special. So she's like, that's why she's doing all this like secret inclusive stuff. She won't send them the address till like 1 hour before the party, like all this stuff to make them feel like it's a very special event. Kelsey and Dylan also say that they don't have costumes, but Noelle knows that they basically always match. Like, Kelsey's not having that. She's making Dylan match her, so she knows that they'll have good costumes. So we go to chapter 2, and our quote is, "Get her prepared. Tonight is yours. Tomorrow is mine." And it's from The Invitation 2002, which I like that movie. So Demario asks Noelle why she invited Kelsey and Dylan, because Noelle doesn't like Kelsey. But basically, Kelsey and Dylan have like a huge social media following, and also Noelle's parents are friends with Kelsey's parents. I think Kelsey's dad's like a judge or something legal like that. So she kind of like doesn't have a choice but to invite them, but also she needs her social media following to get boosted by them, so that's why. And Noelle is trying to get a film internship at NYU so that she has a better chance of getting accepted into their program, and Kelsey's dad can basically pull some strings and help her get that. Noelle and Demario have been friends since they were 6 when her family moved to Long Island because they used to live in Queens. And so he's basically one of her longest friends. And they're discussing her plan to get accepted to NYU when Archer comes up. he's been watching her tarot video because she was kind of like going live or something during that, and he thinks she'll be great at a podcast. So she asks him if he'd be a guest, and he says yeah. So she gets a message while they're having this conversation from a troll that's been bothering her, and his name is something like Jester, and he says that she needs to stick to Buffy with bar face emojis on her post. And Archer says like, don't engage, like your silence is going to win, because Archer is obviously like a really big music artist now, and so he has trolls also. And she says, well, maybe I'll stream Buffy next month just to show them. And Archer has to go leave for class, and so he like kind of brushes up against her arm, and she blushes. Oh, young love. It's so beautiful. Chapter 3, our quote is, there'll be food and drinks and ghosts and possibly a few murders. You're all invited. And that is a quote from House on Haunted Hill, 1959, which I've never seen the original, but I do love the remake. That's like one of my favorites. So the weather is starting to turn as she's heading home with DeMario. So it was supposed to storm, but it's supposed to like be like north or south of them. But obviously it's not looking like that. And so we don't know if they're going to be in the middle of this storm. But
Great ambiance.
I know. I was like, I feel like it's a good thing for Halloween. Like you're inside. It's cozy and creepy. Why not? She has messages from her mom, and her mom's basically like out of town again. I think it's her parents' anniversary. Her dad's like a sports agent, and so her mom pretty much travels with him wherever they go. And her mom is happy that she's having real people over because she thinks that she spends too much time online with fake friends, essentially. Her mom asks if she's made another appointment with her therapist, and Noelle says not yet. And she tells us that she really likes the therapist, but she had a meltdown the last time she was there about getting into NYU. So basically she got like embarrassed and canceled all her appointments. Her mom asks if she wants the neighbor to come check on her, and she's like, no, I'm good. And her mom wants her to go, and then she tells us basically her mom wants her to go to Spelman and then join her dad's business. So being a sports agent, which Noelle has no interest in doing. So she kind of just like hurries her mom off the phone because she's trying to get ready for her party. And when she gets to the house, she notices that there's a broken, smashed camera outside, which she assumes is just from the wind. And also, it's like completely like black in her house. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad signs. Bad signs. So we go ahead a little bit. They're getting ready for the party. DeMario's costume is the black camera guy Joel from Scream 2. And I said the only smart one. And I want to say that there is like, hold on, I have to look this up. I meant to look this up actually. So fun fact about that. So Dwayne Martin told the Scream directors, because apparently he was supposed to die in Scream 2. And like, I guess the way that they wanted him to die, he was like, a black person would never do that. And so he ended up just like, they changed it so that he just left. And I'm like, that's so real. Because all the time when black people die in movies, I'm like, that is the dumbest. I would never do that. Right. I would never do that. Mm-hmm. Why would you have it? Like, no. I'm glad I think that's so funny. I can't remember where I heard that, but I knew there was something about it. And so Noelle is getting dressed, and her costume is a prom princess, but basically she has a blood packet stored, so she's basically planning to turn herself into like Carrie, and at some point through the night she's going to like bust this blood packet, and she's like straightened her hair because she normally has curly hair, so that's cute. And then Elise is how do you say this? Elphaba. I've read Wicked. I was about to say, I'm like, Elphaba, that's not it. I'm like, it's Elphaba. So Elise is Elphaba from Wicked, which queen. Okay. I need to read that again. We should read that.
I've never read it.
You've never read Wicked?
No.
Oh my gosh, when I was in high school, it was like such a big like thing. Oh, we have to do it. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. Oh, now I want to read it. Okay. Okay. So Noelle has all kinds of like fun stuff planned. She has all these fun drinks made. So zombie brains, vampire kiss, like, you know, cute little Halloween drinks. And Josh is the first to arrive. He's wearing ripped jeans and a white t-shirt that says liberal elite. And says like, basically he's late stage capitalism. Like boring. Boo. Tomato, tomato. Then she gets a text from an unknown number, and it says, don't turn off the lights. And she thinks it's Mariana playing pranks because she's like the big theater person and she likes to play pranks. Haley Daniel shows up next. She's dressed as a uterus and ovaries. and Mariana is her girlfriend, and she's dressed up as like the main character from Phantom of the Opera, which I've never watched. Have you ever watched it?
Yes.
See?
Plenty times.
I have not. I don't know why. I need to.
That's one of mine and Kinley's favorite musicals.
I need to. What's the girl's name? See, gotcha. I don't know whatever the girl's name was. I was like, I'm not gonna get that right. It's the girl from Phantom in the Opera. And also, she pulled a Kim Kardashian. She's like, she has the actual dress from the museum from Phantom of the Opera, and she's like, basically like, if Kim Kardashian can wear Marilyn Monroe's dress, like, why can't I? So this book was like written very recently. Mariana, basically, Noelle tells us she had a successful play, and so she's making lots of connections that Noelle wants. So that's why they are there. The next person that comes is Vivek, and he's Freddy Krueger, which, okay, classic. And then Charlie comes next, and he is the finance bro, and he is basically dressed as a finance bro. Again, boring, boo. And Maddie Shue comes with him, and she is in real life, she's a pampered princess, but she's dressed as an anime character called No Face, which I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, neither am I.
Taylor Kissick shows up, and this is actually one of Noelle's actual friends. And again, they identify as they, them. And they came dressed as Sydney Prescott, Queen. Like, Queen.
Slay.
Queen, final girl. So Taylor mentions that Archer isn't there yet, and Noelle admits that she's nervous, but she does expect him to show up. Kelsey is the next to come in, and her and Dylan come in, obviously matching. She's Morticia, and he's Gomez. Also another classic. And Noelle gets another comment from the troll on her post saying that they hate her voice, and so she blocks them again. She goes to make the brain matter shots, and everyone there loves them because she does like some cool like chemistry thing that turns it into like brain matter, I guess. Yeah. I've seen them in real life. I've never had one. And so after that, she spots Archer driving up the drive, and he like runs to meet him at the door, and he's dressed like one of the Squid Games people, but he has like a bedazzled suit on. I don't know. It's like some really cool version of, if you haven't seen Squid Games, you know the P with the mask and whatever. Squid Games. Yeah. And he brought her mini cheesecakes that says jump scares. And he went to a bakery like 2 towns over to get it. So we know that Archer likes her. Ooh. So they start to play trivia and Halloween Shazam, and basically Noelle has prizes for them. So one of the prizes was like 2 tickets to Doja Cat, which Archer wins, and then there was like a bunch of like makeup that they could win. There's just all kinds of prizes. So she goes to make some more drinks, and the cups are missing, and she's like, okay, whatever. So she goes to the pantry to get more, and while she's in there, she gets another text, and it says, scatter, run. And then she hears rustling noises outside the pantry, and the door slams. So she opens it, and she sees a shadow, and then she hears a chainsaw and smells diesel. So she goes out, and Josh starts laughing, and everyone screams happy anniversary. And they tell her it was a recording of a chainsaw like sound, and that they had a fuel scented candle, which who knew that you could buy a fuel scent? Why would I ever want to? Like, outside of this moment, what would be the purpose of that? There's a very small market for fuel scented candles. So chapter 4, our quote is, "It's not too late to flee, you know." And that is from Ready or Not 2019, which I have not seen and I really want to, but there's nowhere I can stream it, and I don't want to pay for it. But I heard it's really good. That's the one with the girl in the wedding dress.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I want to see that.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's what everyone said. I just wanted to stream it. I tried during Halloween, but it wasn't free anywhere. Oh, well. Okay, so Noelle notices that outside, like, all the windows to like certain parts of the like guest house maybe are all open, and she thinks that's weird because like her mom, like they're gone for vacation. Like her mom normally locks the house up pretty good, and it's not done. And then the awning out back is ripped off the patio because it's really windy and the storm is coming. And so she goes out and they like take care of the awning, and she notices that there's muddy prints headed towards the house, but then they just disappear. So she just like shrugs it off and thinks she's being paranoid. Absolutely not. What do you mean there's muddy footprints headed up to my house? Who was out here?
I'm sorry, but you are a horror buff and you're just letting that slide?
Yeah, no.
I'd be like, okay, party's over. Let's go.
Yeah, like, okay, everybody's shoes. Anybody step in mud in here? Okay. Alert the authorities. It's time for me to leave. We're moving this party to a hotel, people. Oh my gosh. Okay, so she goes back in and they turn on the TV and she freaking has Rihanna. She has Robin Fenty on here, wishing her happy anniversary for jump scares. Like, okay. And like her and everybody else is like shocked about this. Like, that's pretty freaking cool. I agree. So after they do this, they have a silent dance party, and Archer asks her to dance. I've always wanted to do a silent dance party. I think it looks extremely dorky, but I do also want to do it. And she asks him who he's going to take to the Doja concert since he won tickets, but they get interrupted. And she checks her like Instagram or whatever. She's halfway to the follower count that she wants to get to. And then suddenly all the lights come on because they were off while they were dancing, and like the lights just come on, and she's like, okay, maybe my dad like set up the timer wrong. I'm like, girl, so nobody closed the windows, your dad messed up the timer. I'm like, what? These are flaming red flags, they're on fire. But anywho, so then a movie comes on the TV of killer clowns, and she's like, that's not the movie that they're supposed to be watching. So she looks for the remote and no one can find it. Chapter 5, our quote is, it's a long fucked up story and you probably won't believe it anyway, which is, I still know what you did last summer, 1998. Now, the first one is my favorite because I am a Ryan Phillippe stan. I was in love with that man. Love. Also, that cast is stacked. That is a 90s like elite movie. Anyhow. So Archer goes and plays the piano and he's basically singing to her because he's an artist. Like, all that cute stuff. And she wants to confess her feelings to him, but she's scared. So she checks the weather instead, and now they see that the storm is headed directly towards them. And someone suggests that they watch American Psycho, and she thinks about how they always say that the black person dies first, but statistically, a white woman is always the one who dies first. And I'm like, yeah, because you did your research, girl. So everyone's making suggestions, and Josh says Noelle wouldn't make it past midnight in a movie. And she's like, I'm a final girl. What are you talking about? Which, Noelle, you're not acting like a final girl because the red flags are flagging.
I'm just saying,
yeah, like Adam and out of here. Got to get him. She says that there's no way I die first. I'm always ready. And she says black girls are always the sidekick or die. And she mentions Brandy and I Know What You Did Last Summer 2 or whatever it's called. And then she also mentions like Omar Epps in Dracula 2000. I freaking love Dracula 2000. That's also a really good one. And then she's also talking about like Busta Rhymes and Halloween H2O. Another good, these are amazing movies. I love it. So she goes over to Archer and asks for a selfie, and they take one. And she says, I hope you're not going to post that on your socials as a joke. And he says, no, like these are special moments to me. I'm not going to post them. Okay. And she's like sweating and her mouth goes dry and she's like, she's flirting. So she goes to talk to Taylor because she's like, okay, I don't know what to do. So she talks to Taylor and Taylor says that they're going to take a gap year from college, and they're also really upset because they had a recent breakup. And Noelle asks Archer if he's going to take a gap year, and he says no, he has like a summer tour and then he's planning on going to Juilliard. Okay, I see you, Juilliard. We go to chapter 6, which our quote here is, welcome to Fright Night, for real, which is from Fright Night, 1985. I've never seen that one.
Nope.
Okay, I'm not alone. So she's sitting with Archer on the couch for a movie, and after the movie, the plan is for them to do hide and seek, and there's a clown that's coming, and he's going to be doing the seeking. I would never agree to this.
Nope.
This is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. This was not a good idea. So the winner of hide and seek will get 2 platinum VIP tickets to Horrorpalooza, which is some like Coachella type Halloween thing. I don't know. And she gets another text, and this one says, super rich kids with nothing but loose ends, super rich kids with nothing but fake friends. And she's like, okay, Mariana, like, I know that you're doing this, whatever. And Haley says, okay, like, the first 2 were me, but this last text was not ours. And she does realize that this text came from a different phone number than the previous text came from. And so, again, flaming red flags. Then these idiots decide to pop edibles. So they're already drinking. So we have underage drinking, okay? We have a party, no parents, all those things.
Cool, I don't know how any of this is a good idea.
Like, horrible. So then they pop edibles. Never do an edible. I'm telling you, if you want to be high, you should just smoke like a regular person. You have no control over that. Like, horrible ideas. Also, these are minors. There's that. Charlie mentions a guy named Jack, and Jack is a guy who played lacrosse with Dylan. And Dylan and Jack had some kind of like run-in during a game. It was an accident, but Jack got hurt and lost this really big endorsement that then Dylan got. And so Dylan has like, you know, bad feelings about it. And I guess they saw the Jack guy like at some restaurant or something like that. Noelle notices that Elise and Josh are like glaring at each other across the room, and they've been weird all night too. So she's just clocking all this weird stuff. And then she realizes that she doesn't really know much about Archer because he doesn't post his family or anything. And around this time, the doorbell rings. And she's like, the clown's early. Red flag. God. Why are you here? And enter Gage the Clown. So I said, this is giving me Terrifier vibes, which I will not watch.
Honestly, I started it, but
clowns are creepy.
I struggle if I'm not. I just don't think it was for me. I started it and I was like, this kind of looks stupid.
So there's a girl I follow on TikTok, and she has a podcast, and it's Horror Chronicles, and she like loves Terrifier, and that's the summary I need. Like, I don't need to watch that. It's just a like extremely vicious, creepy clown, and I'm good on the clowns. Like, they are creepy. And then we have like John Wayne Gacy and stuff. Like, clowns are creepy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good. But anyway, so Gage shows up, and she says that he looks very weird and super like battered. His like outfit looks terrible, and he looks nothing like Pennywise. But she invites him in. So she like tries to talk to him, and he doesn't respond. And then he pretends to like he like busts his butt, like he pretends to slip on a banana and falls. Then he goes up to like there's a pumpkin in the foyer. And he starts, like, stabbing it. But then they are like, okay, it's just a prop knife. So, like, he's just trying to creep him out or whatever. And Archer says, this guy is sus. And she thinks that means, like, okay, well, then he's doing a good job. Like, you should feel that way. No! He's sus.
Trust your instincts.
Goodness.
Well,
so,
I mean, apparently she doesn't have very good ones.
I know. How many horror movies have you watched? Okay. So Gage goes to the living room, and then he starts Noelle's house was basically decorated for Halloween. Like, it was like Kim Kardashian style decorated. Also, did you see her house at Halloween? I don't want to live in that. Like, I don't want to wake up and not be able to go down my own hallway because it's like, she literally turned it into like a haunted house and had like I don't want that. I can't even go to the bathroom at night.
Nothing.
I mean, I'm sure they have bathrooms attached to their rooms, but I can't go to the kitchen for some water or anything. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So that's basically how Noelle's house is. So Gage goes in the living room and starts popping the heads off of the mannequin, and then he puts like flowers in like the neck part, and it looks like blood splatter. I don't know. So Noelle says, let's start the game, and she gives everyone a map. So basically they can hide anywhere in the house, and she collects all of their phones. No, you're not. And it's also storming now. So you want me to hide from a creepy clown. I cannot have my phone. And it's thundering and lightning outside.
And there were red flags.
Oh my gosh. So, everywhere. And then she says, oh, we might get flooded in because her road floods because it's like up on a hill. Okay. Elise is like, oh, okay. Oh no. Elise says that she caught Charlie and Maddie like making out earlier. So they're kind of happy about the flood because they're like, okay, like we can stay and party all night and whatever. And the clown gives them 2 minutes to hide, and he turns around. So Demario and Elise go together with Josh, and they're behind Mariana and Harley. So they're all running off. Noelle grabs Archer, and they hide like in Harry Potter's bedroom, basically. They hide under the stairs in like some storage area. So the timer goes off, and it's super silent. So she hears Kelsey go by, and Kelsey's like, I don't want to hide. Like, this is stupid. And Gage sees her. Chapter 7. Our quote is, do you like scary movies? Scream, 1996. That was so easy. What's your favorite scary movie? Do you want to play a game, Sydney? I love Scream. Okay.
Yes.
So, Gage lunges for Kelsey, and she runs, and he's, like, wrecking to the furniture. Also, throughout this whole, like, first part of the book, Noelle keeps talking about how, like, the cleaner's coming tomorrow, the electrician, and, like, how she'll have to pay extra because they're tearing up stuff, blah, blah, blah. So, Gage is, like, he's tearing stuff up. So, he's chasing Kelsey, and Archer coughs, and she's like, he's so loud. And Gage, like, looks their way. So, of course, she has an intercom in her house. Fancy. And the intercom comes on, and they hear Josh's podcast episode with Kelsey. She tries to go out, but Archer stops her. And so, the episode is basically Kelsey talking about how she went viral cooking, but she told people that she, like, used some fruit stickers, and she told people they were edible. And Josh says, like, you might get sued. And then the house goes completely black. And Noelle says, well, there's a backup generator. It should kick in. But then it doesn't. And she says, okay, I need to go check the breaker because there's an alarm going off. She goes to get her phone out of the basket so she can ask her dad, like, what do I need to do? And the basket of phones is gone.
Bum, bum, bum.
And so is Gage's trunk of supplies that he brought. So the hallway is freezing. She feels like there's like a breeze somewhere. And so she goes into the service room. Archer's with her and he says, this is a first for me. Me in a dark room with a pretty girl looking for a breaker, which makes her blush. She finds the breaker and she tries to reset it, but nothing happens. So Archer says he's going to check the generator. He checks the generator and it has like all kinds of buildup. So apparently that's why it's not working. So they try the breaker again and it does work this time. So they head back out and they hear Kelsey say, let me go, moron. And then she screams and hears Gage go, tag. No. And then they don't hear Kelsey anymore. Chapter 8, Get Out, from Get Out, 2017. So Noelle and Archer run to the living room and they see Kelsey on the floor and there's like a pool of blood under her. And then DeMario and Elise run in and they turn on the light. And DeMario checks Kelsey for a pulse and he starts looking for the clown. And this is where we learn Kelsey is the daughter of a federal judge. So Noelle's panicking because, like, 1, somebody's dead in my house. 2, the daughter of a federal judge is dead in my house. And she's yelling for everyone to come out of hiding. So she says, Alexa, call 911. But Alexa's like, I can't. The internet's down. So Gage appears from the kitchen with a bloody knife. And he heads towards them and they start running. And then he lights the end of his umbrella and an arrow fires and he shoots it at like the modem system, like for their Wi-Fi. So that's not going to be working anymore.
And that is terrifying.
So then Noelle runs and she cuts her arm as they're trying to get away. And then a large blood stain starts running down her chest. And I'm like, oh, the fake blood. Because they're like, what's wrong with you? But it's the fake blood. Gage says, nobody move. Josh comes down asking what happens, and Gage points the umbrella at him, and I said, attack him! There's 13 million of you. Like, why didn't they all just start pouncing on this man? I don't understand. But they don't, and Noelle tells the clown that he's crazy, and he says, I prefer passionate. So she asks if it's money that he wants, and he frowns, and she wants to go get her go bag, but it's upstairs. And she's like, horror 101, don't go upstairs. Okay, well, horror 102, don't take the bag upstairs.
Right.
And she can't get to her keys because Gage is blocking the way. She considers running to the front door, but he'll grab, like, basically if they all start running for the front door, obviously he's going to get somebody. And she's like, well, I don't want him to get anybody because I'm out. So, but Gage is literally staring at them, eating a snack while they're just like all standing in like the living room. And he says, slight change to the rules. I catch, I kill. So then her and Taylor run to the door and Gage starts chasing them. Taylor almost makes it and then a dagger literally flies past their head and hits the door. And then they also notice that on the door there is now a biometric padlock, meaning that you need like a fingerprint or something to open it. Great. So she considers what his motive could be. Like, is he Michael Myers? Is this like a Jason thing, a ghost face thing? And they try to open windows, but all the windows are sealed with caulk. Also, what time did you get here? I know that this house has 100 windows. And I'm telling you right now, every window in this house is still shut. How is that possible? How is that? And also, how long does it take to dry? Like, how?
It takes a while.
Yeah, like when did he do that?
Right.
Okay. I have a lot of questions. So the windows are sealed. Dylan is missing. And they're like, hey, maybe he's hiding in the basement or a wine cellar. And Josh asks why the podcast was playing. And no one knows why. And he says, okay, we're fucked. And Noelle says, I am not dying tonight. Chapter 9. Hunting humans ain't nothing but nothing. They all run like scared little rabbits. Run, rabbit, run. Run, rabbit, run. House of a Thousand Corpses, 2003. Also have not seen.
I've not seen that one either.
I think that's a Rob Zombie. I think that is. So the clown, Gage, tells them to start moving. And he cocks his umbrella like it's like a gun. And he tells Archer to get to the piano. And Archer doesn't move, so he shoots. But the umbrella does like, you know, like that bang thing where like the flag comes out. So Archer goes and he starts playing, and it's like a song Gage wanted him to play. And then Gage slams the lid down on his hand, saying, "Who's making the hits now?" Also, Gage has like a little voice thing on his throat, so he's like, "Who's making the hits now?"
Very scream like,
yeah,
just not
deep, but like high pitched. Yeah. So Archer's hands are bleeding, like, near the wrist because he, like, slammed it down on him. And Noelle is looking around for a weapon, and she sees that all the knives in the kitchen are gone and the fire extinguisher is gone. And she realizes that Gage was there when she got home and the house was dark and the camera was broken, which was all probably him. Yeah, no shit. She starts to think how Gage can basically, like, tell the police, like, that they planned it together because she did hire him. Like, he could be like, you know, well, she hired me and this was the plan all along. So she grabs the chessboard, and then DeMario slams into Gage, and I was like, finally, like, come on. There's literally 12 of you guys. Like, attack. So Mariana starts swinging at him with a broomstick, and DeMario and Archer hit him, and they're like, tie him up. But he's able to, like, get them off. He's literally, like, Jason Voorhees or something, Michael Myers. Like, this man is indestructible. And so he gets them off of them, and so she hits him in the head with the board, but he literally, like, brushes it off. He tosses some black canister at them, which is like a flashbang, and she knows that her neighbors are too far away because it's thundering, and even if they would have heard that, like, they're too far away. Chapter 10. You know the part in scary movies when someone does something really stupid and everyone hates them for it? This is it. Jeepers Creepers 2001. Favorite.
Love it.
Love Jeepers Creepers.
One of my favorite horror films of all time.
Freaking terrified. Love Jeepers Creepers.
Yep.
I don't know what I don't know what I would do because I'm gonna be dead. I
am terrified of driving country roads in the middle of the night.
Yeah, no. I'm like, I'm not making no stops till I want to be like in a very well lit rest stop.
Yeah, one time I was at Johnny Crino's before they closed, but this was years ago, and Jeepers Creepers started playing they started playing it. I said, we gotta go.
Nope. That's like when people play the song from the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, when they play that. I can't remember what it's called, but like they'll play it places and people are like, like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. No. Why would anybody play that?
No.
Okay. So everyone is like stunned and disoriented from this flashbang, and Gage is gone. So Archer says Gage has protective gear on, and he obviously is trained to fight. And he asks if there's a safe room, and Noelle's like, well, we had one, but my mom turned it into like a craft room, something like that, because her house is like impenetrable. So Gage gets on the intercom and says the game is just getting started. And she starts feeling guilty about having all these people here. So she checks the mudroom, but all of the spare keys are gone. Archer still has his keys, but they look outside and all the car tires are on flat. So even if they could, which I'm like, I'm driving on the rim. I'm getting out of here one way. Hey, we're rich. Like, we'll fix it. Right. I don't care. So Dylan, Maddie, and Charlie are also missing. She says, what are the police going to think? And then the music suddenly cuts off. They hear scratching on the other side of the garage door, and Josh wants to check, but she says, absolutely not, which also, absolutely not.
Yep.
And he's like, well, somebody could be hurt out there. And basically she's like, oh, well. And
better them than us.
Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, well. So she says she has to get her bag from upstairs, and DeMario asks, why is it up there? It's usually under the stairs, but she moved it for the party. So they grab skillets for weapons out of the kitchen, and they see Dylan run by. And then Gage crawls from under the stairs and says his new game is how many stabs. So Archer and DeMario attack him again, and she runs to get her bag. But Gage is able to get up and get off of them, and he grabs Archer's wrist, which is still hurt from the piano slam, and then Gage chases after Noelle. And then she sees Dylan running from her room with her bag. Chapter 11. What if I told you that today you'd leave here different? I'm talking to you right here. You're going to witness an absolute spectacle. Nope. 2022. Which I also like nope.
Yep, that was a good one.
That was good. So the group has split up, and she is in her room. Her iPad is gone, her laptop and her watch are all missing. So she goes in the bathroom, and she sees all of the electronics, like even all their phones, that are in a tub of water. And then there's like little piranha or something in there. Like, where the hell did he get fish?
Right.
Like, why did you bring fish? So Archer's like, I'm going to drain it. But she says, no, leave it for the police. And he asks if she knows this guy, and she's like, I have no idea. She'd only ever talked to Gage over email, and he'd been like super responsive. And so then the intercom goes off again and starts playing merry-go-round music. Like carnival music. And the podcast plays an episode with Archer. And I was like, oh my God, no, he's going to be next. I was like, no. So I'm like, why aren't they like, where's the intercom? And this never gets answered in this book. Because I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like, can you access the intercom multiple places? If not, like, you know where he's at.
Right.
But this never comes up. So obviously I would survive better than she would. That's my personal opinion. So Archer says that this is about the lawsuit. And he says when Gage made him play the piano, he made him play a song that basically got him sued. So basically he sampled a part of a song and another artist said that he stole it from them. So there was like some big lawsuit. Noelle says, this is all my fault. Everybody's here because of me. And Archer is like, what if it was Wolfie? And she doesn't think it was him because she's like, why would he wouldn't care about like my party or whatever. Noelle says, what about Jack, which was the guy that got injured playing lacrosse with Dylan. And Archer says he can barely walk, but Jack does have an older brother named Levi, so they consider that it could possibly be him. But they start going in her closet because she hears a noise outside her bedroom door. So, of course, she has, like, some humongous walk-in closet. So they go in there, and she didn't lock her door because the lock was broken. So they're hiding in her closet, and she has, like, kind of like a closet in her closet. So they're in there, and Gage comes in. This is the most unhinged part. I swear to God. So Gage comes in, holding a roll of toilet paper. But he starts, like, ripping in her room, like, stabbing the bed, like, just doing all kinds of stuff. And then he comes in the closet and, like, stabs her footrest, and she's panicking because she's like, this is so real. She's like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to sacrifice Archer so I can get out of here. And I never related to him. Because I'm like, we're not dating. I mean, I like you, but I also want to live.
You're cute and all,
I mean, yeah, but Josh always tells me, because Josh would sacrifice me. I don't think he really would, but Josh always tells me. He says, somebody has to live to tell the tale. That's what he says. I'm like, you're just going to leave me hanging? He's like, somebody's got to live. So, hey, Noelle, I relate. And so Gage is like testing out her lipsticks to like find the right color. And then he starts drawing on the mirror. And wait a minute. Oh, okay. So he's like drawing on the mirror. And then someone knocks on the door and it's Taylor looking for her. And Taylor hits Gage in the nose and runs off. So Gage comes back in. He grabs one of her Birkins, takes his like jumpsuit off, puts the Birkin on the ground. And she's like, what the? He literally demolishes this Birkin. He poops and farts all up in her Birkin. My mouth was on the floor. Because I was not expecting that to happen. I mean, I'm okay with the killing and all that. You shit in my bag? My very expensive bag? I don't give it was a Walmart bag. That's disgusting. So they're sitting there watching him demolish this Birkin bag.
Dominique was so upset.
Oh, I put OMFG. Oh my gosh. That's nasty. That is nasty. Then he has his toilet. This was his plan. He had toilet paper. Also, there's 72 bathrooms in this house. So he has toilet paper, so he wipes his butt and throws his toilet paper all around. And he leaves.
You know what it made me think of? The one Vine when it's the mom and the daughter, and she's like, in my white Valentino bag?
No. Oh my, it's so disgusting. That was disgusting. But he leaves because he feels better now. He got that out. Gross. And so they come out and they check the mirror and it says 1 by 1. And so then she grabs her fart spray and says, this is personal. Chapter 12. I just can't be running off in a panic because there's a room downstairs with a bed and a bucket. Barbarian, 2022. Also, absolutely you can. That would make me run. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about anybody else. That would stress me out.
Have you watched Barbarian?
No, remember we talked about it. And I need to.
Yes.
But I have to work myself up to it because I know I'm going to be terrified.
It's a good one.
I love the scary movies, but like I have to basically spoil it for myself because then the anticipation is lower. The older I get, my heart is weaker. I don't know. Books aren't so bad, but like movies, I'm like, ugh. So Noelle's like, you know what? I'm about to chloroform him. So she gets a washcloth in a baggie and she puts bleach and nail polish remover in there to make her own kind of chemical concoction, which I'm like, okay, that's badass. And Archer is like, what's the safest room in this house? And she says the theater. Of course she has the theater.
I wish.
It has thick doors and it has a backup panic button and it uses like a SIM card, so it has its own communication system. So they hold hands and then they go down the hall and they run into Maddie, who says, it's coming. You know what it is? It's a horse. It's a pony. There's a horse running through her house and it has a sign.
Could you imagine?
Like, what? What is that? Like, what's going on? So the horse has a sign on its neck and what did it say? I don't even know what the horse said. Oh yeah, okay. So the horse has a sign on its neck and like Noelle's able to get it off, and they go into Noelle's mom's office. And Maddie asks, why is her horse in the house? Because Noelle has horses. And she says, no, this one's not mine. And Maddie's like, I'm scared of horses. So the board around the horse's neck says, hit and run twice as fun. And Maddie's face, like, changes. So that means something to her. She says, I don't know what it means. And obviously she's lying. And Archer's like, yeah, she's lying. Maddie says, I don't drive, which is true. She doesn't drive. So, like, how could she do a hit and run? So they go down to try to find the panic button in the theater, and it's disabled, of course. So Josh comes up and says that he was looking for them. Josh says that they ran into the clown in the bathroom, and Elise and DeMario ran, so he got split up from them. They find the patio door is wide open, and they sneak out, and they look out at the, like, guest house because Noelle had turned it into a fun house, and they hear a scream, and then Josh starts running towards it, but Noelle stops Archer and is like, we should not go in there. Which, absolutely not, you should not go in there. I mean, if you're screaming, you're already dead. There's nothing I can do for you. Maddie comes out and says it's Charlie, like, we need to go help him. So, stupidly, they all go in, and Maddie screams ahead of them, and then they hear a chainsaw. And they see Maddie, like, on the floor backing up from Gage, and he has, like, a hedge trimmer. And they try to run, and then he literally, like, slices off her shoulder. And that's the end of Maddie. So, we have 2 down. Then Gage, like, he literally, like, cuts her shoulder, and then he, like, steps on her back and, like, rips her arm out. Yeah, he's messed up in the head. And then he blows his horn, signaling that Maddie's dead. Like, it's the freaking Hunger Games. Chapter 13. But how were we supposed to know that you were really good at killing people? Which is actually sort of weird, by the way. You're Next, 2011. I don't know if I've seen that one.
It's a good one.
I feel like
it's a really good one.
I feel like I have, but I can't remember. So they all go back into the house now, and I'm like, is Archer in on it? Because, like, that's, like, you know, normally it's, like, the love interest, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. And Kelsey's body is gone now, and there's like, everything's cleaned up, like, there's no blood or anything, but there's a chalk outline, which isn't an outline of Kelsey's body, but it's just, like, a weird outline, and there's, like, little police markers all around it, and Noelle, I don't even think Noelle said it. I think this is what I was like, there's no way he's doing this by himself, because he was obviously out in the funhouse, so, like, who the hell did this?
Right.
So there's little cards around the outline, and they read it, and basically, like, all the cards have, like, pieces of a sentence, and it says, they fuck you up, your mom and dad, they may not mean to, but they do. And Archer says it's a poem, and so Noelle starts wondering if this is a revenge on their parents, or if there's a parent doing this to them, and she says, let's go to my dad's server room to find a key to the garage. She wonders why disabling their alarms didn't alert the police, which is a very good question that never gets answered. And they go to the service room, and there's a person, and she starts screaming, but it's just DeMario, Elise, and Charlie. So Charlie asks what happened, and they tell him about Maddie because they were hooking up, and he starts to break down, and he says, I'm not dying in your house, Noelle. And Noelle says the podcast is a clue, but Elise and DeMario haven't been on the podcast, so I don't know why they would be included in what's going on. And then Noelle says, well, I guess we're all members of Jump Scares, so maybe that is it. But they're still just trying to figure out what is, like, the key piece for all of them. And again, she's like, this is all my fault. But she is able to find keys to the garage. Charlie says Maddie moved here from London and had an accident, so that's why she was afraid of horses. And he doesn't want to tell about the hit and run, but he does. So basically, Maddie and a friend stole a horse in London, and the horse ran into a car and died. And so after that, she's been afraid of horses. And her friend also got injured, and then that friend may never walk again. And basically, Maddie's parents made it all go away and sent her to New York to live. So that's kind of like what happened. But Charlie says that also wasn't the first time. She drove on the wrong side of the road when she first moved to London, and she hit a car. And her dad took care of that too. So basically, you know, rich kids getting out of stuff. And I'm like, how does the clown know about this? And that's what Noelle was like, how does the clown know all this stuff? But she looks out the window and she sees her dad's rowboat, and she gets an idea. Chapter 14, Nothing is Ever Going to Be Okay Again. The Purge, 2013. Which I think that's when they're sitting at the table. Like at the end when she like slams the neighbor's head into the... Have you seen The Purge?
Yeah.
When she's like, I said, we're all going to stay here.
That was my favorite part in the whole...
Because she deserved it. Yeah. She deserved it. Oh my God. I'm like, all the things you could do during The Purge, you want to kill me?
I would go steal books.
I'm robbing. You're like, you're steal books. I'm like, I'm robbing. I'm wiping off my student loans, and I'm doing something in the IRS. Please don't listen to me, FBI agent that's assigned to me. I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding.
It's all hypothetical.
All hypothetical. So the plan is for them to get into the boat and go. So they go to the den, and she realizes that her pet porcupine is missing. So she's like, oh no, my porcupine. What an interesting pet to have. That's such a rich person pet. Like, my porcupine.
Right. Out of all the animals.
It's like my armadillo. Like, what? Why do you have that? I don't know. Okay. They're not cuddly. Like, what am I going to do? It's not like it's a hedge. I don't know.
I would have an otter. That would be fun.
An otter would be cute. And go, whoop. So she realizes there's also a message in blood on the wall, and that says, help me. But she doesn't think it's real because there's no blood trail on the floor, and the footprints go the other way. So she said, this isn't from a hurt person. Somebody just wrote this. She realizes a window is broken, and she noticed that her demolition hammer from her bag is there. So she grabs it, and she looks at the glass, and she can tell that this window was broken from outside the house because all the glass is inside the house, and that the lock is broken inside. So, like, none of this is really making any sense. And they assume it's Dylan because they can't find Dylan, and they just take off running towards the pier. So, of course, Elise is, like, ahead of the gang, and she dives right into this boat, and as soon as she does, Gage sits up from the boat. Like, how did you know I was going to run to the boat?
Right.
How long were you going to wait out there to see if they came to the boat? Because, see, I would have just ran around the house and went the other way.
Right.
Why didn't you just go the other way? I don't know. I'm not going to the boat. What kind of boat is this? I mean, it's a rich person. I'm like, how big is it? It's a rowboat. Like, how many people can fit in this boat? I don't know. So I just wonder how long Gage was going to lay out there and waiting for them to show up. But anyways, of course, he sits up like Jason Voorhees style, and he pushes the boat like away from the pier so that, you know, they're already out there floating, and he stabs Elise in the stomach. So DeMario obviously is an excellent swimmer, so he starts swimming towards the boat, and Elise like is able to knock them both off the boat into the water. And Gage emerges behind DeMario as he reaches for Elise, and Gage drags DeMario under the water with him. So then Charlie jumps in, and then Gage comes up, but DeMario doesn't, and Gage throws something at Charlie. And when Charlie like turns around, he has a freaking fish hook sticking out of his cheek. Ouch.
Oh my god.
Ugh. I don't like hooks in skin. Oh, I don't like hooks in skin. That's gross. And there's no sign of DeMario or Elise. And Archer's like, we have to go back in the house. But Gage reaches out and grabs Noelle's ankle, which starts pulling her in, and she like slaps his hand with her hammer. So they go back inside. Archer says DeMario is one of the best swimmers, and he's a lifeguard. He'll be fine. And then they almost kiss, which is like a weird timing. But then she hears a sound upstairs. Noelle says, I'm going back to the pier. And so they all go. And then they see footprints heading into the house, but they're like bare footprints. So they follow him. And they don't see anything out of place. But they go into like a spare room or something, and they see a bunch of clown suits hung up in a closet, and there's a wet one. Which, like, how fast did this man move too? Not only did you get back in the house, but you got your clothes off and changed, and no one heard that. Oh my goodness. So she takes itch powder that she has and douses all the suits with itch powder. Chapter 15, our quote is, this ain't no funeral home. This ain't the Terror Dome neither. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers. And it's Tales from the Hood, 1995. So they go to the theater to be safe instead of trying to leave, which Charlie disagrees with. And DeMario is in there with everyone else except for Elise. So he said he got to Elise, but she was unconscious. She didn't have a pulse, and she had lost so much blood, and the boat was like tangled up in weeds, so he just couldn't help her. And Taylor says that they saw Dylan heading upstairs, but then the clown came and they got separated, and he didn't have the bag when he saw him. Noelle wonders if Dylan is on the clown side or if he's on their side because he's been kind of like off and on his own thing this whole time. She also wonders where Gage is. Charlie asked DeMario how he got in, and he says the French doors were wide open. So Charlie says, let's go check it out, but Archer says that's a bad idea. So they're in the theater, and the movie screen comes on, and they don't know if it's live or recording, but it's their friend Haley, and she's in the family room, and she's crying. So someone asks if it's live, and Noelle says, how would he know that we were in here? Gage says, I thought you liked a good sign. And Haley says, please. And basically, Haley usually like posts like social justice signs, like say their name and stuff like that. And Gage gives her a bunch of different signs. And the first signs, like, basically the signs say, I'm a member of 12 social justice organizations. I stand against injustice, share tweets, and promote hashtags, but I never attend meetings or volunteer. And basically, like, just saying that she does it for social media. Haley's pissed, and she's like, no, I do it because I actually care, and I do participate. And she throws the cards down, and Gage, like, fake claps or whatever. And Haley says, what are you doing? And then they hear Velcro. And Noelle says, this is all evidence, and wonder if Gage, and this was my same thought too, like, Gage has no intention of living through the night. Actually, this was my thought when he, like, pooped in the bag, because I was like, that's DNA.
Right.
So I was like, you know you're leaving evidence, like, everywhere, right? I don't know. Gage says, I'm so sick of you all with the social injustices. And Haley says that you're an intolerant pig. And he says, I watched all of your videos. And my favorite was you talking of your fear of being silenced as a woman. He says, you shame people into activism while you don't do any of the work. And then he slams a pink pussycat hat on her head and, like, nudges a tray of keyboard keys and tells her to eat them. So he makes her eat all the keys off a keyboard. Ugh. And she's like, no. And he threatens to cut her face. So she just starts. And so they're all, like, watching this and struggling. And Noelle wonders if if Gage saw their group chat since he's been watching their social media. Chapter 16. Congratulations. You are still alive. Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you. Not anymore. And that's from Saw 2004. I can't watch Saw movies. It's too it's too gory.
Yeah.
I don't like that much gore. Like, I'm like, I'm good.
I'll read about it, but I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I didn't read. Like, I don't want to see it. I'm like, I mean, yeah, I just can't. So, but Vivek's episode starts playing from the podcast over the intercom, and Noelle wonders if Gage is saving Josh for the end since it's his podcast. Vivek is talking about his website, which is called Simmer, I believe. And Noelle asks what's going on with Simmer, and Vivek admits that he's been having legal trouble because of some spam accounts that have just kind of, like, taken over his site. Charlie says, I'm out of here. And he tries to leave, and he says he's going to go look for Dylan, and he's like, I'll take my chances with the clown. Then the screen comes back on, and there's a countdown clock. And so they all grab something as a weapon, and then the clock hits 0, but nothing happens. Like, Gage doesn't bust in the theater or anything. So they start, like, sneezing and coughing, and they realize that it's either, like, pepper spray or bear repellent, but he's basically put it in all of the, like, vents. And if you've ever been around pepper spray, which I have, like, there's nothing that you, like, it gets to, like, the back of your throat. Like, oh, that's so terrible. So Noelle tries to open the door, but then the handle breaks off in her hand, and so Archer kicks down the door, and they run to the kitchen for, like, milk and stuff, which is, like, the only thing that helps pepper spray. And Noelle mixes dish soap with water and, like, rubs it all over their skin, which helps neutralize the spray, but it doesn't do anything for, like, their eyes and stuff. But she's just really good with chemicals, like, it knows what works. Archer says they're going to make it out because they have things to look forward to, and he would like to get to know her better. And then Gage comes in holding Charlie, and he has a mouth retractor in his mouth, and he's in handcuffs. DeMario charges for Gage, but Gage pulls a syringe out and says it's full of ketamine. And so then Gage says, climb the rope ladder, and there's a key at the top, but the gag is going to stay. So basically he, like, hung this rope ladder. Again, it's a castle mansion house. I don't know. It has really high ceilings. So he hung this rope ladder, and the ladder is basically like a death trap. Like, it looks like it's going to fall apart. Archer says he'll do it, but Gage wants Mariana to do it, and somehow he knows that she's deathly afraid of heights. But she does it. She climbs up. She gets the key, and as she gets it, Gage goes out the front door. And then all of a sudden, Mariana screams, and the rope breaks as she's coming down, and she slams into the floor, cracks her head, and she's dead. So Gage is standing outside, which is really weird because he's just, like, standing outside. And so Charlie is pissed. So he charges for him, and literally this is, like, Ghost Ship and, like, is it The Strangers maybe? I don't know. There's been several movies that do this. But basically, Gage has one of those, like, really thin wires.
Your Next does it.
That's what I did see Your Next. That's the, like, it was at the dinner party with, like, all the
Yep.
Yeah. So I did see that. Okay. So basically it's that, like, super thin wire and you can't see it. So Charlie's pissed and he's going to go for Gage, but he literally slices his head off on this wire as he goes out the front door, and he collapses into the fountain.
And you mentioned Ghost Ship. That's a good one too.
Oh my God. That opening scene in Ghost Ship. Like, woo,
traumatizing.
Like, everyone talked about that. Yeah, it was your next, because it was the daughter. Because she was like, I'm going to run. And they, like, open the front door, and she goes, and off with your head. Tragic. So they all run for the garage. And Noelle's able to get it unlocked, but something's like blocking it from the other side. So they're all like pushing. And then Gage is like walking up on them. He has a bucket that's full of liquid. And she's like, oh my God, it's probably acid. So she starts throwing shoes at him. And they finally get the door open enough. And Archer grabs her. But as she's like going in, Gage throws the bucket at her. Chapter 17. Brothers don't last long in situations like this. Scream 2, 1997. So he throws the bucket at her, and it's just confetti and paper. So sometimes he's a silly goofy. So they're all in the garage, and Noelle notices that all her parents' car tires are slashed, but not hers. But her windshield is cracked. She tries to open the garage door, but of course it won't. And then she hears a sound from her mom's trunk, and then she hears like bumping, and it's Dylan, and he's bound and gagged in the trunk. She asks where her bag is, and he says he dropped it when Gage was chasing him. And she considers what she was most afraid of, since Gage is using that to kill them. And Dylan asks where Elise is, and she says that she was killed. Okay, so Josh says, oh, so now you care about Elise? And Josh basically says that Elise and Dylan have been sneaking around with each other for months. And everyone's pissed because basically, like, Elise was always like, you know, I'm dealing with this guy, he sucks or whatever. And so everyone was always like, oh, like trying to be there for her. And Elise was hurt all the time about this secret guy. And also, Dylan was dating Kelsey. So Dylan's dating Kelsey and messing around with Elise. Of course you are. And that explains why Josh and Elise were like into it all night, because he wanted her to cut off Dylan. Noelle wonders how Gage got out of the garage, because it had been sealed shut. Like, the garage door won't open, and then there was something on the, like, blocking the other side. So I don't know how he was even able to get back out of there. And she asked Dylan, and he's like, I have no idea, but she can tell that he's acting nervous. Dylan says that he said we brought this on ourselves, and it's because of Josh's podcast. Lightning flashes, and she sees Gage, but then he's gone. And then they notice a two-way radio from her dad's boat is in the garage. So Vivek is trying to fix it, because of course he smashed that too, or he did something to it. And so Vivek's trying to fix it because he's techie, and so they can call for help, or they need to find a battery pack. And then Noelle like basically starts like laugh crying, because she's like, this is all just chaotic. I don't know what to do. So they're in the garage, and all of a sudden her neighbor comes to check on her.
Oh.
Like, Mom, I told you no. And so she starts walking up to the house, and she doesn't even see Charlie's decapitated body out in the front, because she's trying to get her umbrella open in the storm. And then Gage says someone's coming to join the party, as they like try to bang on the garage and like yell, which I'm like, how do you not hear this? Like, I know it's thundering, but like, you don't hear anything. And they're trying to warn her. And so the neighbor, her name is Lauren, she doesn't see Charlie's body. She's just like not paying attention to anything. And she's heading up to ring the doorbell. And Gage says, Noelle, be a doll and open the door. But obviously they don't want to go out to Gage. So she doesn't want to do that. So they hit the garage door button just to like the like mechanics go off. And it does distract her neighbor for a little bit. But then she decides to go up to the door. And Gage says, if you don't invite her in, you won't like what happens. And then Lauren rings the doorbell, and a bomb goes off, and it blows her back, mutilating her legs, and took her foot off. And I guess this killed her, because no one said anything else about her anymore, so I guess she was dead. So Gage starts slamming into the garage door, trying to get in, and they try holding him back, but then he breaks through, and the power goes out.
Of course.
Chapter 18, You've Gotta Be Fucking Kidding. The Thing from 1972. So we hear another podcast episode with Mariana go off, and they're all like hiding in the garage in between the cars, and Gage is like barricading them in. So lightning flashes, which of course allows Gage to see them, and he sees Vivek and he attacks. And Noelle uses this time to run, and she like falls, losing her box cutter because something bumps into her. And then she hears someone leaving the garage, and Archer calls her name because he's looking for her. Gage says, if you're thinking of escaping, there are 2 more bombs somewhere in the house. So now Vivek is dead because Gage got to him, and Dylan is gone again. And so is the radio, which they think Gage took. And they see Gage, and he drags Lauren into his car, or into one of their cars, outside the front door. She thinks that Dylan was the one that pushed her because when she ran, it felt like somebody pushed her and now he's gone. And that's why she fell, and she doesn't know if he's helping the clown or if he's just really trying to like get away. And she's also considering maybe he gave Gage the bag. I don't know why I said the clown. Gage the Clown. Same thing. And then they see Gage out in the car and he's using someone's phone. And she's like, he's probably texting my mom from my phone to tell her like, oh, everything's fine. So she won't check on me. And Noelle says she has a spare key to her car somewhere. She just needs to find it. And everybody's like, well, we should go to the basement. Absolute. Unless there's a door out of the basement, I'm not going down there. Like, why would I go down there? That seems like a horrible idea. Mm-hmm. We can't get out of this house from the first floor.
Don't go upstairs and don't go to the basement. Like,
everybody knows that. Why would I go down there? So she's like, absolutely not. And she makes a plan for a trap. Chapter 19. They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? Candyman, 1992. Also, love.
Also, one that has traumatized me.
Extremely traumatizing. I don't play. Cameron, like, after she saw this, she started playing around, like, saying Candyman. I'm like, you're gonna be homeless. You're gonna be homeless. I don't play those kind of games. I don't mess around. Movie or not. So Archer goes to play the piano, and this is basically their trap. So he plays the piano, and her and Noelle and DeMario hide. So Gage, of course, like comes up behind Archer, and then Dylan comes out of nowhere and runs into the room saying, get away from Archer. So Noelle's like, okay, like, is he in on it? Is he helping us? And Gage says, you guys are dumber than I thought. So then Noelle and DeMario come out, and Gage charges for Noelle, and she leads him past a wire that trips like this jumbo skeleton that she has in her house, and it lands on top of him. So then like Josh and Dylan try to restrain Gage, and then DeMario starts like choking him out, and she shoots him in the face with a fart spray, and then pulls out her washcloth that she had soaked in bleach and nail polish remover, and like tries to chloroform him, which takes 5 minutes, but it does finally work. So they drag him to the front door, and they're basically trying to use his hand to unlock the front door. But of course, he's like this big, gargantuan, freaking Michael Myers type guy, so he doesn't die. So anyway, so of course, they don't get the door open because he starts to wake up, and he like makes his hand into a fist, so they're like, oh crap. So he wakes up, and they're trying to figure, and they basically start running. So they run into the den, and they find Haley. So that's the room that he was recording from with Haley when he made her eat the keyboard keys, and she is dead. And there's a door in there to go outside, but that one also has a biometric lock on it. So they're screwed. Chapter 20. Black people don't need to be summoned and shit. Candyman 2021, which is exactly what I just said. I don't play around. So they're like running through the hallway, and this net falls on top of them, and it basically is full of like bones and dust. Real bones. Animal bones. Disgusting. And then Gage is like seeing them trapped in this net. He lets them get out, but he literally like walk past them and dabs. Like, what? What is going on? That would have been it. That would have set me off. It would have been the dab. That really would have set me off, because what are you doing? So Taylor starts saying how their ex works at a pet cemetery, which is like weird that we have all these animal bones. Noelle's like, are you going to go to the basement? And Archer's like, I will if you will. He's like, I'm not letting you out of my sight. And that like, okay, Noelle's like, okay, are you in on it? Because again, you know, the love interest is always the one you gotta watch for. It's always those love interests. And he like smiles at her, but the smile doesn't reach his eyes. And she's like, I don't know if you want to kill me, or are you also traumatized by tonight? Like, it's one of those things. So now she's like, I don't know. And then she noticed one of her protest signs that she used like at a protest. And the protest sign basically says, say their name, and it has someone's name on it. But then under that in blood, it says Chelsea Gooding. And Archer's like, who is Chelsea? And Noelle says that she only had met Chelsea a couple times at the country club that her parents go to, but Chelsea was friends with Taylor. So basically, Taylor and some other people conducted this raid, and they went to an animal shelter to free all the animals. And obviously they got caught, and Chelsea got like the worst sentence out of all of them, probably because she wasn't a rich kid. And then Chelsea went to like juvie or something or whatever, and she got assaulted in there, and then also tried to commit suicide after. So there's a lot of guilt about what happened with Chelsea. And then Noelle had grabbed this owl that was like a motion detector, so she has it with her while they're like talking about this sign, and all of a sudden it starts to go off. Chapter 21. If I didn't know any better, I'd say I'm the bait. Beast 2022. Never even, I don't know that I've heard of that. Have you heard of Beast? I've never heard of that. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up. So they see a rolling duffel bag in the hallway, and it starts like whirring. And then Noelle's like, that's my dad's tennis ball launcher. So literally they start getting pelted with tennis balls. And so they're running all over the place.
That hurts.
Yeah,
that
ouch.
Really hurts.
Ouch. Like, ouch. So they start running, so they run to the basement. And when they get down there, Taylor collapses. They're like all bleeding. They need a first aid kit. Taylor literally has like a ball like embedded in their shoulder. Archer is trying to bandage Noelle's arm. And Noelle says, we are not safe, because Gage basically forced them to go down to the basement. So he probably has a plan for them because he knows exactly where they are. And so they go into the wine cellar part. That's what the safe room was. The safe room was a safe room, but then her mom turned it into a wine cellar. So they go into the wine cellar, and Noelle's like, I know that he wants us in here. And then they start having this weird conversation. Josh starts talking about how he invested $20,000 into crypto with Charlie, because Charlie was a finance bro. And Noelle's like, how did you have $20,000? Like, they're rich kids, but they don't just have, like, access. And so he says, well, he sold this Rolex that his dad had given him, and he didn't realize it was, like, a family heirloom. But that's how. And this crypto, like, deal went bad. And then Archer says, yeah, I lost a few thousand, too. Like, not as much as Josh did, but he had also invested and lost it, too. And the guys start kind of bickering a little bit. And Noelle notices that the clown's, like, trunk bag or whatever is down there. And they're going to open it, and she's like, don't open that. Because obviously he probably knows that it's down there. But no one listens to her, and this was my 13th reason why. This was it for me. Like, the murder, I could tolerate that. I can tolerate the poopy bag. I could tolerate a lot of things. But they open this suitcase, and hundreds of tiny white mice come out. So many white mice that they said the carpet looked like it was white. I'm vomiting all over everybody and everything in existence. Have you not seen Willard? Have you not seen Willard? Have you seen Willard?
I have not.
Oh my freaking God. Please watch it. It's the thin man from Charlie's Angels.
Okay.
Creepy man. Okay, He plays in that. He has a pet rat named Socrates, which is a white rat. Then he has this other pet rat named Willard, and Willard, like, goes crazy. Watch. You will be horrified. It's an old movie. Don't know when it came out. I don't know. They should have used a quote from that here, because the mice. But I don't do... And they're, like, crawling all over him stuff. Oh, my God. No. I probably would have died. I just would have died. I would have, like... I would have been paralyzed. I couldn't have moved. Oh, my... That was it for me. Yep. I'm like, kill me now. So... She's like... They start going up the stairs. They get out of there. And she's like, you know what? I'm sick of this. Like, I want to have a showdown with Gage. I'm tired of running. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you should have been sick of it when it first happened, when there were still 12 of you. Now there's like 6 of you, and he's kicking your asses. Why did you not? When he was being weird, y'all should have all jumped on him. He couldn't have took all 12 of you. He couldn't have. I don't know. Maybe he could have. But I don't know. I would have tried that. Now you're dwindling in numbers. But anyways, so she's like, Archer, I'm going to go upstairs. Will you go with me? And of course, he is. Chapter 22. No screaming while the bus is in motion. And that's from Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare 1991. Good. Gotta love Freddy Krueger. So Noelle and Archer go to her dad's office, and she says that the clown knows, she tells us, the clown knows her secret, so she needs to come clean. And she's in there looking for her spare key because her dad took her car to get serviced and he never puts anything back. So she assumes it's in his office. And her and Archer both turn to each other, and they're both like, I need to tell you something. So he says, you go first. And Noelle says, I bribed someone to give me priority consideration on her internship. Which, what kind of you bribe someone just to give you consideration? Like, why didn't you just bribe him to get in?
Right.
I'm not going to bribe you to consider me. You got paid for nothing. But okay. That's your big guilt. Anyways. And Archer tells her, like, you're not a bad person. Like, you have the skills. Like, you should be in the program. And then he tells her that the lawsuit about the song was really true. So he actually did sample someone's song. He thought that his team had got permission, but they didn't, and the song went viral. And then she said that, and then basically he told all his fans that he did everything the right way. So then they started like attacking that artist and like doxing her, which is when they like post all your personal information. And then this artist has basically like gone ghost since then. Like nobody knows where they are. So that's why he feels guilty. So Noelle says she's going to withdraw her internship application because she feels bad about it. And he starts telling her about a song that he wrote, which was called Pursuit. And he tells her that he wrote that song thinking about her and the song was for her. And he wrote that song over a year ago. So they finally have like a little kiss moment. Aww. And she is able to find her key and the remote to the gate, because of course she has a gate. And then like Archer accidentally knocks over the stack of books and she sees a manual and she realizes, oh, my dad keeps the manual for everything, which I can relate. I always feel like I'm going to need a manual, so I don't throw them away, and I never need them. But as soon as I do throw one away, I know I'm going to need it. So anyways, so she's like, oh, the manual for the like panic button or for something, one of the things that's broken is probably in here. So she looks for it and the garage door. She's like, oh, I bet you he has the manual for the garage door for the manual release, which, okay. Every garage I've ever seen has like that red cord hanging down from it. Is there some other manual release that I don't know about? I mean, they're rich. It might be fancy. That might be out of my league. That's above my pay grade. So, whatever. But she finds the manual. Chapter 23. Reporting live from Black TV. White folks are dead and we're getting the fuck out of here. Scary Movie 2000. I love scary movies. Sydney! This white girl's dripping out of your TV. I freaking love Brenda's character in Scary Movie. Okay. Noelle finds Demario alone as they come out of her dad's office, and he says that the others heard like a tapping noise and went to go check it out. And Archer is like, okay, well, I'll go find them. And she says, no, like, we're not going to keep splitting up, which smart. And Demario says that Taylor has been having like a breakdown and keeps talking about Silas, which Silas was a part of the like animal shelter raid that they did. And also Silas is Taylor's ex. And Silas works at a pet cemetery. Is that a thing?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know either. I've never seen one. So they're having this conversation and Noelle hears walking and she hears two pairs of shoes. So all of a sudden Gage jumps off of the upstairs balcony, but he has like a bungee cord attached to him. And then Taylor's like, you know what, I'm going to attack him, which fair. I would have probably too. But then Gage is like, he gets off of the cord, of course, and gets up and then puts a collar around Taylor's neck. And it's a locked collar. It's an electric like shock collar for a dog. You tried one.
I know from multiple experiences.
Oh my gosh, you shocked yourself. You guys, pray for Keely. I don't know what she's been doing. But she knows that the shock collars aren't fun.
I did it once being stupid, and then I did it so my friend could film it. Yeah. I was young and dumb, okay?
It's okay.
I was like
I know
15.
that someone listening has probably also done this. It's okay. You could tell us or not. But make Keely feel better and tell her. So he puts the collar on Taylor and is threatening to fry Taylor. Noelle tells Gage that, like, this has gone on too far. Like, what is it? And then she sees her porcupine run by. So, like, that's all good. So she's happy her porcupine is alive. And she looks at the clock and she's like, oh, good. And she knows that the Roomba's getting ready to go off. So the Roomba goes off and that distracts Gage for a second. And then all of a sudden, Dylan runs down the stairs covered in blood. So Gage, like, gets tripped or something. And so then the porcupine gets scared because the porcupine already doesn't like the Roomba. But then also they're all out there running around crazy. And shoots all their quills into Gage's face. Rightfully deserved. So he's pissed. And she notices that Archer and Dylan are, like, whispering about something. And at this point, she still thinks that Dylan is in on it. So she's like, okay, what's going on? And possibly Archer. So then Gage goes for Archer and Dylan. So she attacks because he wasn't paying attention to her. And she throws this snow globe that she has, and she throws it into the fireplace because Gage is like right in front of it, and he's like, haha, you missed. But our chemical queen here knows that it's going to explode. So then all of a sudden a ball of fire comes shooting out of the fireplace and lights Gage on fire. So he's on fire and he stops, drops, and rolls. And the collar, like, remote is melted, and then, like, half of his, like, costume's melted also. And his voice changer also gets messed up. And he speaks, and she recognizes the voice, but she doesn't know from where. And then Dylan attacks Gage with a knife, but then he throws out a black canister like he did before. So chapter 24. get that bitch Leatherface. Which I did not remember this part of this movie, but that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from 1986. So what Gage threw this time was a smoke bomb. It wasn't a flash bang or whatever like last time. So they go back to the garage, and Noelle confronts Dylan and is like, where do you keep going and why do you keep running off? And Dylan says, like, you're the one that keeps running off. Every time I turn around, you guys are gone. So she's like, whatever. She tries to open the garage door, and Archer's like, what is wrong with Dylan? And they recognize that he's like scratching all under his shirt. And she's like, oh my God, it's you, because I put the itch powder in the costumes. And he's like, no, it's not me. I hid in the closet, but I promise, like, I'm not the clown. And Archer grabs him, and he's like, I swear, like, I just hid. And Noelle's like, forget it. Like, whatever. I'm just trying to get out of here. So they manually open the garage door, and they all get out. And then she looks down at her fanny pack where she put the key fob and realizes that it was unzipped, of course. So she has to go back in. And she's like, I'll go back in. Archer's like, no, let's just go. And Dylan's like, I'll go in, but she doesn't trust anybody. So she goes in, and she sees Gage with audacity because he has a bag of ice on his face. Like, sir. And they both see the key fob at the same time. So they run for it, and she gets it. And Gage is like close behind, but he slips and falls. And so she's able to get out the garage. So she jumps in her car and immediately smells something. And it's Kelsey and Vivek. And Gage has like put them in seatbelts in the back seat. And in between them is his bag of poop, her Birkin. Absolutely disgusting. And then the other ones run and get in Lauren's car, which Lauren's body is also in her car, but nobody cares anymore. So Chapter 25. I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them. We're going to die out here. The Blair Witch Project, 1999. So, this is what I was saying. So, I was 7 when this came out, and I did not go to the movies, but I remember my mom was dating my sister's dad. We were at his house, and we watched it there. And so, like, it was such a phenomenon because it was, like, the first found footage, and everyone thought it was real because they made a website for it, and this was, like, I mean, no one now can... If you didn't grow up then, you have no idea what it was like before the internet, but that was, like, everyone's like, oh, my God, it was real, and, like, I've never... I should rewatch it because I've never rewatched it, but it was just, like, a time. Like, it's just those times in, like, history that things like that happen, so... Love it. So they are in the cars, like heading down the road, and Gage was following them on like a scooter that she's never seen before. So, where did he hide all this stuff?
Right.
Where's his car? Like, how did you get here? Well, I guess he probably came on the scooter, so he probably hid that. That makes sense. So the gate will not open, even though she has the remote, and she's like, I'm just gonna crash through it. Which, okay, yeah, but her car, like all the lights come on, and then her emergency brake goes off, and her car stops, and she just starts laughing because the reason her dad bought her this car was because it was so freaking safe, and it's too safe. And she's like, I refuse to die. Like, I'm a final girl. So she reverses it, and she runs over Gage. She thinks, but she gets out, and he's gone. Lauren's car is like fried. Their cars are like deep in water, and she tries to get out and tries to climb the gate, but the gate has like anti-climb paint. Didn't know that was a thing. They go back up to Dylan's car because he's like, okay, I have something to pry the gate open. But then they hear a whirring noise from the pool house. And Dylan takes a brick and breaks out his window to get his door unlocked. So he reaches in to unlock the driver's door. And of course, Gage rolls out from underneath the car like a creep. And then Dylan also gets his foot trapped in a bear trap because no one was paying attention. And DeMario is like got wounded earlier during one of the chases or whatever, so his leg gives out and Gage grabs him and holds like a knife to his neck. Gage says, cheaters never win, ask your buddy Jack. And then Gage says, everybody come inside, back to the party. And Noelle says that we need to become the threat. Like, that's the only way we're going to get out of here. Chapter 26, Sometimes Dead is Better. Pet Cemetery 2019. So they go back in the house with Gage, and Gage says, we're going to resume hide and seek tag, but no one moves because they're sick of his shit. And he says, do you need motivation? So he like digs his fingers into Dylan's like leg wound, and it's like bleeding all over the place. And of course, he also has a backup remote for Taylor's collar. Like, how did you know you need a backup remote? I would never plan for that. This is a psychopath. So then Taylor sees Gage's tattoo, and they say, Silas. Noelle knows that Taylor's ex Silas was taller and heavier than what Gage looks like, but something about Gage is triggering Taylor to mention Silas. So they all start running now, and they're trailing blood. So they're like, okay, we need to split up. We need to bandage this. Otherwise, he's going to be able to follow us wherever we go. Which, honestly, I think is stupid because I think he knows where they go every single time. Like, I don't think that they ever were hiding at any point in time. Noelle and Archer remember the gesture troll from the Instagram, like at the beginning of the book, and they think that this is him. Dylan says, just leave me here, and I agree with that. You're slowing us down. I'm gonna have to leave you behind. So Archer and Noelle go to her room, and they're basically go through a list of all the people that like she's had to block and all kinds of different stuff. And Taylor comes in and wants to use the bathroom. But then, like, the tub that had, like, the fish in it, like, all the fish are dead now and, like, laid out. And Taylor doesn't eat meat, and it makes them sick. So, like, they go to a different bathroom. So Noelle's going through her list, and she finds the account and says that she blocked him from her chat for having, like, hateful comments. And she also thinks that she met Gage before. She thinks that he was a patient at her therapist's office, and she had told that patient, like, about her club. Like, they met in the lobby, and she just told him about the club. And the guy's name was Wesley, and there's also a blocked Wesley on her list. And she realizes that the night that Wesley joined her club, they watched Pet Sematary, and realizes, and I was like, oh my gosh. So the clown card that Gage gave her says Gage Derry. So Gage is the name of the little boy from Pet Sematary that had, like, in the original movie, because Archer's like, I don't remember a Gage, and I haven't watched the remake, so in the remake I don't think Gage is a big character, but in the original movie Pet Sematary, like, Gage is like the boy that they bring back, and so Gage is the first name, and then the last name is Derry from It. They live in the town of Derry, and so they're like, okay, whoever this is like a super Stephen King fan, so they put that together. Josh comes in and says Taylor is rambling, saying that their love life is cursed and that their new boyfriend has the same tattoo as Gage. They go out and they see Gage, and he has DeMario and is holding up the syringe. But DeMario turns the syringe on Gage and stabs him with it. So then Gage pushes DeMario down the stairs, and then he doesn't move anymore. But then Gage is perfectly fine, even though he said that this syringe was full of ketamine. And he goes, vitamin B12. I'm like, of course. Which, I don't know what color ketamine is, but B12 is pink. So, I mean, I guess you wouldn't know if you don't know, but who am I? So, Gage grabs Taylor and is holding them by a knife, like, by their neck with a knife. And Noelle asks if he hurt Dylan, and he just makes these, like, stabbing motions and says, hi, you've reached Dylan. I'm not available to take your call. So, basically, he's like, yeah, I killed Dylan. And Gage says, if he lives, he wins, and he doesn't want him to win. Noelle says, why are you doing that? And Gage says, you're the one who bought me and signed the contract. And he tells Josh to tie them up. Chapter 27. You know me, cutting necks and cashing checks. Day Shift 2022. Have I seen Day Shift? I wonder what movie this is. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that or not. So Noelle says to Josh, it was you this whole time, and Josh smiles and pulls out zip ties. And she says, you're an accomplice to murder. And Josh says, well, there won't be anybody around to, like, tell anybody. Josh tells Noelle, you guys are the worst. And he thought that Noelle was different, but she's just like all the rest of the people that were there. Noelle calls Gage Wesley, and he, like, fake applauds, like, yeah, that's me, whoop-de-woo. And Gage calls Noelle and Archer Romeo and Juliet and says, you know they both die at the end, right? Gage says his grandpa was in the nursing home where Kelsey remember, was the influencer that cooked and told people to eat these fruit stickers that weren't real. But then, like, so she didn't get sued. She ended up sending a cake to a nursing home, and basically Wesley / Gage, his grandpa, was in the nursing home that all this, like, went down with. And then Gage starts playing another recording, but this time it's of Noelle's therapy session. So basically that day when she saw him at the therapist, he had, like, bugged the therapist's office. And so basically he starts giving all the reasons why he wants to kill them. And she says, well, what about the others, meaning, like, DeMario and Elise? And he says, well, DeMario actually is really cool, but he just needs to make better friends. And then he doesn't like Elise because she uses a helicopter, and that burns so many, like, carbon fuels or fossil fuels or some kind of fuels. I don't know. Gage also went to a party one time, and I guess Elise was there with her cousin, and they made pot brownies, and they overdosed people, and a bunch of people went to the hospital, and of course, Gage / Wesley was one of those people, and then, like, somebody showed up at the hospital and bribed him, basically. So he's pissed about that also. So Gage starts going on and on about everyone else and how he messed up one time and he got court mandated anger management and had to go see the therapist, which was Dr. Dillard, and he's a joke and blah, 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 blah. And basically, like, the therapist that him and Noelle went to, he's like a therapist to rich people. And Gage was just like a pro bono case. He does one pro bono person a year, and I guess Gage was that person. Noelle asks why not Josh, and Gage says, because he paid me. And he says, we're going to make this whole thing look like you were like part of the plan and it was your idea. Chapter 28, No Tears Please, It's a Waste of Good Suffering, Hellraiser, 1987. I also have never watched Hellraiser.
Never watched that either.
But I know it happens because I listened to a podcast about it. So Noelle's like, okay, well, how much did you pay him? Like, how much were we worth? And Josh says, $2,000, and then, like, basically some digital medium, something that he claims is worth thousands of dollars. So you paid $2,000 to have me killed. To have 12 people killed. That's crazy. And then we learned that Gage's tattoo, which is like a gesture with like a block or something, an arrow, I don't know. It basically stands for the Liberation Bloc, which is a super left, like far left organization that's anti-fascist, anti-capitalist. And Gage also says that his dad was a fixer for rich people. So he was like Olivia Pope to the rich people. He made all their problems go away. And then Gage hits Taylor's like collar shock and starts shocking Taylor. And Gage says that Chelsea, so that was the name that was written on the protest sign, basically starts saying how like Chelsea got stabbed with a bunch of like barbed wire fencing. So Noelle's trying to break her zip ties, which immediately made me think of a TikTok I saw where it's like, basically you should always wear shoes with laces, which I never do because it helps you break. I'm like, I don't want to tie my shoes. I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be dead. So there's that. And she tries to like slam her wrist down really hard, which is supposed to make the zip tie break, but it doesn't. So Archer gets up, even though he's zip tied too, and tackles Gage, but then Josh jumps on Archer. And Gage hits Taylor's collar until they stop moving. So he's just like buzzing and buzzing, buzzing. And finally Taylor goes still. So Noelle goes over to check Taylor, and then Josh starts choking her. So she takes like her nails, because she has probably acrylics on, and stabs him in the eye with her nail. And Gage tells her and Archer to like get over there together, basically, and starts yelling at Josh, saying that Noelle is his. Gage says, you didn't flatten her tires, and he says, and Josh is like, yeah, because that was my ride out of here. So Gage goes up to Josh and like puts a hand on his shoulder, like kind of creepily, and he starts talking about Josh, and he says, Josh here like isn't gonna have any money because his parents cut him off. And so Noelle's like, oh my gosh, like everybody's shocked. And basically Josh gets cut off from his inheritance because his dad kind of like went Bill Gates on him and decided that he doesn't want his money, like he doesn't think he should inherit that much money, that it would be better giving that money to the community. So Josh is pissed because he's like, I was banking on that money, basically. And Noelle's like, basically to us, she's like, he's fine. Like, you're a rich white kid and you're the child of like other wealthy people. Like, your name alone is going to get you places. Like, you'll be fine. And Gage says Josh's dad got sick because Josh is poisoning him. So in the beginning, Josh like was talking about how his dad has been sick and he's kind of been distancing himself. And it's because he's been like flowers in the atticing him and poisoning him. Gage says to Josh, your podcast is shit, and I only brought you in the group for donations. But then like basically Josh convinced like this whole like liberal group or whatever to buy crypto, and they all lost money on it. And so like Gage is pissed about that too. Gage tells Josh, you're the most toxic person here, and I was going to let you live. But then he grabs him by his neck, and Josh is like, we had a deal. And Gage says, do you see me being mad for being white, basically? And he's like, and you pretend to be so woke. And Gage says, I came tonight for your friends and you. And Josh is like, whatever that digital thing was he gave him, he's like, that's worth $10,000. And Gage says, well, yesterday when we were eating and you were crying over your seltzer water, the crypto like actually crashed. So he's like, now I can even buy a Happy Meal with that. And he slits Josh's throat. Chapter 29. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. Well, I've got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now, Jack and shit. And Jack left town. And that's from Army of Darkness, 1992. I've never seen that.
Nope.
So Noelle and Gage run for the door at the same time, and she like knocks him over the head with something, and he goes unconscious, and it's just her and Archer now. So they tie up Gage, and Noelle says like, check him for a cell phone. And just for good measure, which is the smart, she slaps him over the head with something else, and he actually like bleeds a little bit, which good for her. And they split up to like go check. She checks Gage, and Archer goes and checks Josh, and Josh doesn't have his phone, but he has like a My Fitness Pal, whatever those, a Fitbit.
Yeah.
He has a Fitbit on, so there's no way to like call out, but it does have a fall detector on it. So they drag him upstairs and throw his dead body off of the balcony with his like Fitbit on because it'll alert the police, which, I mean, he's already dead. Whatever. So of course Gage gets up like a zombie and she realizes that they're upstairs now, but she realizes she left the knife down there with him. So she's like, okay, we need to go down and get it. And of course he like is a freak of nature. So they zip tied his hands behind his back. So he like is not ambidextrous. He's like double jointed and he can like pull his arms like over his head or whatever. So of course
that's
he can.
Scary.
Of course he can. Like, of course. There's nothing that he can't do. And so he gets up and he like is going for them, but all of a sudden Taylor pops up, not dead, and trips Gage as he's trying to run. And then he reaches out to grab Noelle's leg, and she kicks him, and she kicks him 3 times. She says, "That's for DeMario, that's for Elise, and that's for my Birkin." So Noelle and Archer run to her parents' room, and they're kind of trapped in here. So they run to the bathroom, and it's sealed, like the window's sealed there. But there's a tree that like goes over the pool house, and so she's like, we can climb over to the pool house. So they break the glass, they start climbing out. Noelle's getting like glass all in her, and Archer is like shoving her like out, like no, like knife, like you gotta go. And so of course Gage breaks the door down and like slams into Archer, but Noelle had given him like some cleaning solution, so she's like, spray him in the eyes. So she does, but it barely phases Gage, and he freaking grabs like the toilet seat, and of course they have like real porcelain toilets, and he cracks Archer over the head and he collapses. So she's out on the roof, it's raining, there's glass, so she's like sliding all over the place, and Gage is coming out after her and says, at first I didn't really plan on killing you, but then I realized how terrible you all were, so now I'm killing you guys. And Gage says basically to Noelle that she uses her minority status to get what she wants, and he's like, it's reverse racism. And I'm like, get the hell out of here with that. I cannot stand that. Get away from me with that. And she says, why don't you read a book? And Gage says, Josh was right about one thing. You're not a final girl. And she like realizes there's a skylight in the pool house. And so she like steps around it, and Gage tries to leap for her, but he misses and he falls into the skylight. So he's hanging on for dear life, Mufasa style. And and he's like, can you help me? And she's like, no. He's like begging, like, I won't hurt you. Like, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. So she says no. And he's like, I'll find you. And she says, good thing the electrician's coming tomorrow because we drained the pool. And he falls into the empty cement pool. And she like keeps watching him for a long period of time to make sure he's really dead this time. And he does not get up. And she says, thoughts and prayers. And then she sees the police lights coming. Chapter 30. Will Clarice have the lamb stop screaming? Silence of the Lamb, 1991. So Archer is alive. He gets brought out. There's like all kinds of ambulance there. The police are coming to ask questions, and they're going to take them to the hospital, and her parents are going to meet them at the hospital. DeMario also is alive. He's wheeled out on a gurney. So I was like, yay! They're looking for Elise out in like the lake, but we're pretty sure that she's dead. We just don't have a body. Taylor also is alive. And then they start wheeling out the body bags of all her dead friends, which is super sad. And her and Archer are going to the hospital, and this is almost over, but do you know what time it is? Because this was probably the most surprising thing. It's 12:22. I'm thinking it's like 5 a.m. at this point.
Right?
I mean, I'm like, how long, like, what time did they start this party? At 4 o'clock? I just knew it was like the middle of the night. It's 12, it's barely after midnight. Like, I could not believe, I was shocked. I was like, 12:22. A lot happened. I thought this, you know, in most scary movies, like the sun's coming up, like they're like going, it's barely midnight. It's barely midnight. This was the longest night
Haven't
ever.
even passed the witching hour yet.
I swear. Like, I was like, that was the most surprising thing. So then this book ends, and there's a jump scare starter pack, which is top 10 black movies. So number 1, she has Get Out. Number 2 is Night of the Living Dead. Number 3 is Us. Number 4 is Attack the Block. 5 is Candyman. 6 is His House. 7 is The Boy Behind the Door. 8 is Blackula. 9 is Vampire in Brooklyn. And 10 is The People Under the Stairs.
Ooh, that was good.
The end.
Yay!
So, how did you rate this?
I rated it 4 stars.
I did too. I did. For the vibes.
Yeah.
There are plot holes. I know. There are several plot holes. But it was just a fun, goofy read. It's very like cliche. There's tons of like I can see all of the like other thing, like all the movie nods, which I think
yes, and I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part is all the nods to the other horror movies.
Yeah, and... so I mean that's in there, but I mean like horror movies kind of are like they're cliche, like they just are what they are. So yeah. I really enjoyed it. I like the quotes. That's why I went back in and added those because I thought that was good. I want to watch more horror movies, but I'm turning into an old lady and they scare me.
So there's one thing that we did on one of the books, and I was like, you know what? I think we should start adding a couple of these into the episodes, but some of the bad ratings on the book.
Oh yeah, I thought that is cool. Do that. That's super cool.
And this one I completely agree with. But they gave I don't agree with the rating because I give it 4 stars. They gave it 1. But they said, you're telling me you hired a clown that has no reviews. You are Gen Z. You do not hire some rando clown from the internet that doesn't have a great rating. 1 star, he tried to kill me and my friends instead of making balloon animals. And then they said, also, I hate rich kid problems.
I mean, they're funny, but yes, I would never like for you to be like, I'm this like glorified like horror specialist. No,
right,
like
right.
Which I mean, like, yeah, I can see in high school you thought that. I can see that, but obviously, like, your frontal lobe is not developed. It's okay.
This one, they said that you lost me when with the clown in the Birkin bag.
They didn't lose me, but oh god, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, but yeah, no, that I totally agree with seriously
the red flags.
Yeah,
all of the red flags.
Yeah.
Also, like, I get that your parents are out of town, but like, who set all this stuff up? Because she didn't set this whole party up. Like, you're not out grocery shopping, so like, when did Gage get there, or West, or whatever you want to call him, and like, where are all the people?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I mean, he did a lot. He did a lot to that house.
And didn't she mention they had horses?
Yeah. They got a lake. They got horses. Like, where is this house at?
Like, that would have been once I saw that the tires were like slashed.
Well, she mentions that at one point, like riding out on her horse.
Yeah.
Which that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm out.
I mean, and I can't remember whether they didn't because of whoever it was that was scared of the horses.
Maddie.
Or not, but I'd be like, I don't care if you know how to ride horses or not. Like, I'm going.
You stay here.
Yeah.
You stay here. I don't know. I mean, again, there's potholes.
You can't take your car, take a horse.
Also, like this gate. Now, is there no way to go around this gate? Because I can't imagine that it goes around. I can't imagine it goes around the whole thing. I don't know.
I mean, because how did the neighbor get there?
I guess they may have had a code.
Maybe.
If the mom sent them. I don't know.
If they had to go through I don't know.
All of this to get into NYU. I got into NYU. I did. I didn't go because it snows a lot up there. I love New York, but I just was not prepared. And I regret it all the time, actually. I really wish I would have went. But, I mean, so, like, if I can get in, you can get in. I'm not rich. You can get in anywhere. There's no barriers when you have money.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's funny. Did you fan cast these?
I didn't. I've gotten so lazy about fan casting.
It's fine. I only have 2, and you want to hear my first one, which I think is really funny. I think you're going to laugh. So, for Noelle, I think that you would make a great Noelle.
Aww.
I was like, I could just see Keely. Like, she would be so good, but not, like, make bad decisions like she would. And then for Archer, okay, I don't know why, but, like, they said that Archer had, like, platinum blonde hair or stuff, so I was just picturing, like, Tom Blythe in, like, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes or whatever. Or I've been on Nara TikTok, Nara, whatever, and she's married to Lucky whatever. I don't know who he really is, but at one point in time, his hair was like platinum blonde, and like he was like some big like everybody had him on Wattpad. I cannot speak today on Wattpad, and so I was like, oh, he was like platinum blonde for a while too, and I was like, okay, that would be good, but that was it. Okay, but I enjoyed it. It was just fun, and yeah, I feel like it was just fun. Yeah, that was good. All right. Oh, so our next read is what I thought it was last time, but our next read is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I'm so excited. Also, I'm not excited because I have to take notes. And I know it's going to be long. And I feel like all our episodes have been long now, but I don't know. We're just talking. So whatever. You listen. You like it. But yeah, so we're going back to ACOTAR World. Woo-hoo. Oh, I'm so excited. So yeah. That is all I have there. So if you are not already, make sure you follow us on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, even though I haven't really been posting. That's just, I barely am getting through with the podcast stuff. I'm trying, but make sure you do that. Please share our podcast episodes and review them. Leave us comments. We really want a lot of feedback. We haven't got a lot of that lately, so I would love for people to leave us comments. Keely, do you have anything?
I think that's all.
All right. We will talk to you guys next time. Bye. Bye.